Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. It is New Year's Eve, the last show of the year for Crime Talk. First, that California farming executive, well, he was extradited to Arizona. Newly released surveillance footage reveals some behavioral shifts in old Bryan Kohberger following, the Idaho student killings. Jake and Romy Reiner apparently drawing on strength from their close relationship amid their parents' tragic death. A death investigation underway in Delaware involving the wife of former First Lady Jill Biden's ex-husband. A tragic discovery ends the search for the missing girl in San Antonio. A Texas woman receives a 30-year sentence for sex trafficking. An Indianapolis mother killed days after filing for a protective order. And an estranged husband suspected in a fatal vehicle crash in San Diego residence. We've got this day in legal history, our quote of the day, and our dumb criminal. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, and hit that little bell for notifications of when we go live or put up new content. Also, let me remind you that you can listen to us anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Now, you say, Scott, you look so well-dressed today. Not that you're not normally well-dressed, but it must be because you have big plans for New Year's Eve. Yeah, no big plans. I just had court today. That's right. And I probably have court on Friday, assuming somebody hires us for court on Friday. The life of a criminal defense attorney, ladies and gentlemen, it's not as glamorous as some people think. I assure you of that. Anyway, it is New Year's Eve. Happy New Year to everyone. We will do a show tomorrow. We have a kind of a year-end recap, so I hope you take the time to check that out as well. So before we get to today's show, let me remind you one last time for this year, go to crimetalksearch.com and sign up for that background subscription service today. All right. If you'll see a lot of the stories today, if people had maybe checked some people out, maybe they wouldn't be with these people. Come on. I mean, it's just red flags everywhere, ladies and gentlemen, but you got to go look for them and find them. Where do you do that? You go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up for that background subscription service today. When you do, you get a report filled out, completed literally while you wait. It's emailed to you. The results are emailed to you just like that. And you're going to find out social media presence, emails, phone numbers. You're going to find out if people have a criminal history. Are they on a sex offender registry? Are they married, divorced? Are what they telling you is true? Go check them out. A little piece of mind, ladies and gentlemen, for a small amount of money. And when you have that subscription, you can do as many searches as your heart desires on anyone here in the United States. So let's say you're a true crime aficionado. You want to go check out all these people in the cases we talk about. Guess what? You can do it right there. Go to crimetalksearch.com. You're going to be happy that you did. Also, let me remind you, go get the merch. Hit the link below. Go get the merch that you didn't get for Christmas, but now it's the new year. And you're going to commit to yourself of doing things that are going to bring you pleasure, like getting Crime Talk merchandise. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for the final docket of 2025, December 31st, New Year's Eve. First on the docket, that California farming executive, he got extradited. That was one of the fastest extraditions I've seen in a long time. So Michael Abadi, a 63-year-old prominent agricultural operator from El Centro, California, has been extradited to Arizona and entered a not guilty plea to charges of first-degree murder in the death of his estranged wife, Carrie Ann Abadi. Now, the extradition occurred on December 30th when police transported Abadi from the Imperial County Jail in California to the Navajo County Detention Center in Holbrook, Arizona. Now, today, during his initial court appearance in Navajo County Superior Court, Abadi formally pled not guilty to the single count of first-degree murder. He's currently being held on a $5.5 million bond with a pretrial conference and a release hearing scheduled for March 17th of 2026. Now, Abadi was initially arrested on December 23rd in El Centro, California, following an indictment by the Navajo County Grand Jury. The charges stem from the November 20th, 2025 shooting death of his wife, 59-year-old Carrie Ann Abadi, at her residence in Pine Top, Arizona. Now, investigators allege that the body traveled from California to Arizona on the day of the shooting, fired the fatal shot, believed to have been through a window, and then returned to California shortly thereafter, acting like nothing happened. Now, the case emerged amid an ongoing divorce between the couple, who had been married for over 3 decades. Yep. Sounds expensive, that's for sure. Anyway, court records indicate disputes over financial matters, including spousal support and asset division during the proceedings initiated after their separation in 2023. Now, police have described the investigation as involving multiple agencies across Arizona and California, with evidence gathered from searches of properties associated with the Abadi family. And the Navajo County Sheriff's Office has expressed condolences to the victim's family while emphasizing the ongoing nature of the judicial process. Now, this is a significant advancement in the prosecution phase, obviously, as the case progresses towards trial in Arizona. Now, I think this is somewhat interesting because you would say that the plot began allegedly in California, then he drove there, but they're prosecuting him in Arizona where the murder actually occurred. Unlike in the Buzzard case, right, where mom allegedly kills daughter in Utah, but they're prosecuting the case in California. Interesting. Like I said, normally the case is done where the crime occurred or where the body is recovered. So the Buzzard case is a little odd. This one makes a little more sense. Now, obviously, Mr. Abadi is entitled to the presumption of innocence. Obviously, divorce cases can get, pretty heated. And, when we're talking large sums of money, people can get emotional about that. I once had a client that went through a costly divorce and he said, Scott, I could have paid you less money than what the divorce cost me to represent you for murdering my wife. Now, he didn't do that. And everybody probably thinks about that with a divorce, but let it go. It's just money, ladies and gentlemen. It's money. It can be replaced. It's stuff that can be replaced. At least that's what my divorce attorney told me. Next on the docket, some newly released surveillance footage reveals some behavioral shifts in Bryan Kohberger following those murders back in 2022. So, some recently disclosed surveillance footage from a Walmart store in Pullman, Washington, has shed additional light on the activities of Bryan Kohberger, who pled guilty earlier this year for the fatal stabbing of 4 University of Idaho students back in November of 2022. Now, the video, obtained through public records requests, documents Kohberger's frequent visit to the retailer and highlighted a notable change in his conduct shortly after the crimes. Kohberger made at least 13 trips to the Pullman Walmart between late October and early December back in 2022. Most of these visits occurred during the evening or nighttime hours, and the footage indicates that on November 12th of 2022, just mere hours before the early morning attacks on November 13th, Kohberger completed a purchase without wearing gloves. In subsequent visits following the killings, however, he consistently appeared wearing gloves with only brief exposures of his fingers during the payment transaction process. One exception was noted on December 8th of 2022 when he removed the gloves while handling his wallet at the checkout stand. On another occasion, on December 2nd, he was accompanied by an unidentified individual, though they used separate registers. Now, authorities have confirmed that Kohberger used the same payment card for all recorded transactions, and among the items purchased, 2 drew particular attention to investigators' interest. One, a beanie acquired on November 7th, and a pack of gray hand towels on December 1st. Police reports indicate no further details were ascertained regarding the beanie. Now, the Walmart location lies conveniently between Washington State University in Pullman and the University of Idaho in Moscow, where the crimes occurred. Now, Kohberger resided in Pullman during his brief enrollment period and is believed to have departed the region around mid-December 2022 for a trip to Pennsylvania, where he was later arrested. Investigators described the assailant as entering the home while masked, while a surviving witness recalled visibly only a distinctive eyebrow. Now, Kohberger entered a guilty plea back in July of 2025, accepting 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 10 years for a burglary count in exchange for the prosecutors taking the death penalty off the table. He provided no motive or explanation for the offense during his allocution phase at sentencing, nor did the court ask him anything why he did it, the change of plea where he pled guilty. Anyway, the new footage clearly adds to the record compiled over the multi-year investigation against Kohberger, and it shows obviously observed alterations in Kohberger's routine behavior in the immediate aftermath of the events. Next on the docket, Jake and Romy Reiner apparently are drawing on each other for support. So in the wake of the devastating loss of their parents, Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner, siblings Jake Reiner and Romy are relying heavily on their long-standing close bond for emotional support, according to sources close to the family. So the couple, obviously Reiner, 78, and his wife, 70, were discovered deceased in their Brentwood home on December 14th of this year, having suffered multiple sharp force injuries, and it was classified as a homicide. Their son, Nick Reiner, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the incident and is currently obviously being held without bail. A family insider described the ongoing situation as an enduring challenge for Jake and Romy, noting that while significant difficulties remain, the siblings are bolstered by extensive support from relatives and friends and their deep fraternal connections, cultivated since, well, childhood. And it's been apparently proven particularly vital during these past few weeks. Now, the siblings have sought glimpses of routine by engaging in simple activities such as walks and running errands, though the profound nature of their grief continues to overwhelm them as they begin this difficult process. Now, early statements from Jake and Romy underscored the depth of their sorrow, emphasizing that their parents were not only family, but cherished confidants. They expressed appreciation for widespread condolences while requesting privacy and compassionate restraint in public disclosures. Now, plans for a memorial service honoring Rob and Michelle Reiner, who met during the production of the 1989 film When Harry Met Sally, and then married that same year, will be announced at a future date. The family continues to navigate the profound tragedy with ongoing community support. Still a sad situation, ladies and gentlemen. Couldn't imagine. And then the fact that your own sibling was the one that is alleged to have killed your parents that obviously they cherished and honored and loved very deeply. There's got to be some torn emotions going on there, that's for sure. We'll see if they're sitting on the prosecution side when they have court proceedings, or if they're sitting on the defense side when we have court proceedings. That'll be very telling as to obviously where their loyalties may lie. Next on the docket, something you usually don't hear about every day. So there's a death investigation underway in Delaware, and it involves the wife of the former First Lady, Jill Biden. That's right, her ex-husband. Now, don't get me wrong, she's been divorced from the guy for 50 years, but apparently his wife wound up dead. So, police in New Castle County, Delaware, are conducting a death investigation following the discovery of a 64-year-old woman by the name of Linda Stevenson, who was found unresponsive at the residence in the Oak Hill neighborhood on the evening of December 28th. Now, police from the New Castle County Division of Police responded to a report of a domestic dispute at the home at the 1300 block of Idlewood Road shortly after 11:15 p.m. Upon entering the property, the police located Miss Stevenson in the living room where she was found unresponsive. EMT life-saving measures were administered at the scene, but she subsequently was pronounced deceased. Detectives from the Criminal Investigation Unit have assumed responsibility for the case, and Miss Stevenson's remains have been transported to the Delaware Division of Forensic Science for an autopsy to establish the cause and manner of death. As of today, no charges have been filed, and limited details regarding the alleged domestic dispute have been released by the police. Now, Linda Stevenson was married to Bill Stevenson, who's 77, for approximately 4 decades. Bill Stevenson was previously married to Jill Biden from 1970 until their divorce in 1975. The couple married while Jill Biden was a university student, and their marriage ended amid differing accounts of personal circumstances that have occasionally resurfaced in public discourse. We'll just leave it there. Anyway, Linda Stevenson is survived by her husband and their daughter, Christina Vittori. Now, the residence is situated in the Oak Hill community near Wilmington, a residential area in the Newcastle County. The investigation remains ongoing, and the police have emphasized the need for forensic results to clarify the circumstances surrounding Miss Stevenson's passing. And yes, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, a tragic discovery ends the search for a missing San Antonio teenager. So police in Bexar County announced on Tuesday that a body has been located during the ongoing search for the 19-year-old Camelia Mendoza Olmos, who vanished from her northwest San Antonio home on Christmas Eve morning. The discovery, made in a densely vegetated area mere hundreds of yards from the family residence, has brought a somber conclusion to a week-long effort involving law enforcement, federal agents, and community volunteers. So the Bexar County Sheriff, Javier Salazar, reported that a joint team of sheriff deputies and FBI agents revisited previously searched fields near the Burnin' Bush landscaping business located adjacent to the Olmos family home. Within minutes of commencing the renewed search, around 4:45 p.m., the team located the human remains in tall grass. Clothing on the body aligned with the description of what Mendoza Olmos was wearing when last seen: a black hoodie, a light blue pair of shorts, and white shoes. A firearm was also recovered nearby, and Sheriff Salazar emphasized that formal identification is pending results from the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office, which is going to include DNA analysis and the autopsy findings to determine the cause and manner of death. However, preliminary observations indicate that no evidence of foul play. Investigators are examining the possibility of self-harm, citing prior indications of suicidal ideations and undiagnosed emotional challenges the young woman may have been facing. The sheriff described Mendoza Olmos as an individual navigating significant personal difficulties during this period. Anyway, a missing firearm from the family home belonging to a relative had been noted earlier in the investigation, and police are determining whether the recovered weapon matches this item. Mendoza Olmos was last observed on December 24th, shortly before 7 a.m., via neighborhood surveillance footage showing her near her parked vehicle, apparently searching for an item. She departed on foot, leaving behind her cell phone at the car. Additional dash cam video from a passing motorist captured a pedestrian matching her description walking along a nearby roadway. The teenager resided with her mother, Rosario Olmos, while attending classes at Northwest Vista College and pursuing aspirations of becoming an orthodontist. Family members described her as affectionate and active, noting that morning walks were routine but typically involved carrying her phone. Her recent amicable separation from a romantic partner was not believed to have caused profound distress, according to the relatives. And the disappearance prompted immediate concerns, leading to the issuance of a clear alert due to fears of imminent danger. The area was recognized as a potential human trafficking corridor, prompting involvement from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, which monitors border crossings and international travel. Extensive ground searches utilized drones, canines, and volunteer teams with extended family traveling from California and Mexico to assist. Rosario Olmos expressed profound grief upon learning of the discovery, reportedly overwhelmed by the proximity of the site to their home. Community volunteers coordinating the searches conveyed mixed emotions: relief at potential disclosure for the family, tempered by the heartbreaking nature of the outcome. Now, as the investigation continues, police have discontinued the clear alert for Mendoza Olmos. The medical examiner's findings are anticipated in the coming days to provide a little further clarity. Now, this case obviously underscores the importance of mental health awareness and support for those young adults or anybody in that particular matter. You know, if you need help, it's okay to ask for help. Next, an Indianapolis woman killed days after getting a protective order. So a 44-year-old Indianapolis woman by the name of Jerry May Maines was fatally shot in the driveway of her southeast side home on December 28th, allegedly by her husband, Cecil Raymond Maines, in the presence of their 4 children. Now, the incident occurred just 3 days after Jerry Maines submitted a petition for a protective order, which remained unprocessed due to court closure on the holiday. According to the court records and police reports, Jerry Maines filed the protective order petition on Christmas morning, December 25th, identifying herself as a victim of domestic violence. The document detailed a series of alleged assaults by her husband, including an incident that took place on Christmas Eve, where he reportedly threw kitchen tongs at her, resulting in lacerations and bruising. Additional allegations included physical attacks earlier in the year, such as punching her in the face back in November, causing nasal bleeding and facial bruising, and damaging property during the arguments. Now, the petition also referenced threats to harm their children and their pets, as well as recorded conversations in which Cecil Maines allegedly threatened self-harm in front of the family. While the Marion County court offices were closed from December 24th through December 28th, preventing a judge from reviewing or approving the petition in time. Now, on the afternoon of December 28th, the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department responded to a report of a disturbance involving a firearm at the family's residence. One of the couple's children, a 10-year-old daughter, contacted police, informing the dispatcher that her father had shot her mother and fled in a gray Toyota Tundra. The responding police officers located Jerry Maines in the driveway, suffering from a gunshot wounds, and she was then transported to a local hospital where she was pronounced deceased. Cecil Maines was apprehended the following day after police identified his car and stopped it. He faces a preliminary charge of murder and is being held without bail at the Marion County Jail. So the tragedy has now left the couple's 4 children, ages 19, 17, 14, and 10, without their mother. A fundraiser established to support the children and cover related expenses described the profound impact on the family, noting that they have endured significant trauma. You think? Anyway, we're talking about concerns regarding domestic violence and the challenges of obtaining a timely legal protection order during the holidays. Literally, we're just talking about this, right? The joke is, you don't want to get arrested on a long weekend because you have to sit in custody. They have duty judges. They can get a warrant 24/7, 365 days a year. You would think that they would have a reviewing judge to grant a protection order 24/7, 365 days a year. But apparently crime stops during the holiday season, and there's no need for civil protection orders, at least in Indianapolis. Now, I know that's a little bit of sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen, but it also goes to a greater point. Even if she had got that protection order, do you think it would have stopped the husband from doing what he allegedly did? Of course not. Okay? That protection order is worth the piece of paper it's written on. It means nothing. And a man that's upset that he's, allegations and he's beating up his wife, you think that's going to stop him? And then maybe file for protection order, and then maybe going to file for divorce? That piece of paper is worthless. You need to be able to take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Be smart. Be very, very smart. And if it's going to include getting something that goes bang, bang, you need to make sure you get properly trained and that you know how to handle something. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to take care of yourself. The cavalry is not coming. That only happens in movies. Reality, you have to be able to take care of yourself. Next, an estranged husband. Well, he thought it'd be a good idea to drive the car into his ex's house. That's right. So on December 30th, yesterday, police in San Diego responded to an incident in the Bay Park area where 62-year-old Stephen Coates allegedly drove his pickup truck into the home of Dakota Drive, resulting in the death of his 61-year-old estranged wife, Monica Coates. The victim was located in the bathroom with burn injuries after a fire was set inside the structure following the crash. The suspect, also found in the bathroom with serious burns, was hospitalized and placed on a ventilator. Investigators determined that the act was deliberate amid reports of the suspect's mental health decline, including prior delusions and a restraining order issued against him earlier that month. The exact cause of the victim's death is under review by the medical examiner, and charges including murder are anticipated against the suspect once he is stabilized. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the holidays are crazy. My phone has been ringing off the hook, okay? During the holiday season, it's crazy. And we'll get to our quote of the day. I'll also mention something. This is when most divorces take place, the first of the year. People want to get through the holidays, and then they're going to file for divorce. And the other people can sense it, they can feel it, and they start doing crazy stuff. And I swear to God, I'm tired of hearing about restraining orders that, they're worthless, okay? And people with mental health issues. If you got mental health issues, go fix yourself. Go get help. Quit hurting other people and then blaming it on your mental health issues, okay? That's my last rant on that for the new year, all right? Next, this day in legal history, December 31st, 1862. President Abraham Lincoln signed legislation creating the state of West Virginia. The bill split the western section of Virginia from the rest of the state, which had left the Union to join the Confederacy. However, West Virginia was not granted formal statehood until this legislation took effect on June 20th, 1863, after a statewide referendum approving the measure. Next, this date, 1974. The U.S. restores the right to privately own and deal in gold. That's right. A key provision took effect allowing people to purchase, hold, and sell gold, reversing longstanding federal restrictions associated with Depression-era monetary controls. And on this date in 1999, the Panama Canal formally transferred to Panama under the Torrijos-Carter Treaty framework. And I've been to Panama. I've been to the Panama Canal. You can actually go there, take a little tour. Frankly, I always thought it was going to be bigger than it actually was. And when I was there, gosh, it's probably 7-8 years ago at least, went down there for a client that was looking to buy some online properties, what have you. Anyway, they were building the new Panama Canal. I don't even know if that's open yet. Maybe somebody can let me know. But it was going to be bigger because the ships had become so big, they couldn't fit in the old Panama Canal. They had to go around South America. There you go. Next, our quote of the day. All right. And maybe it's not really a quote, but I was in court today and I was sitting there waiting. I was talking to an individual that I know, does divorce work and does some little criminal defense work. And he was commenting that he was going to be gearing up because what is January? It's often referred to as Divorce Day or Divorce Month, attributed to this post-holiday reflection. Obviously, you can't really find anything to document that, but that's what this attorney was talking about. He was gearing up for Divorce Month because apparently after the holidays, everybody says, I've had enough. We got through the holidays. We faked it for the family. We're done. Didn't know that. It's true, apparently. Next, our dumb criminal of the day. Going down to Houston, Texas, in a twist that can only happen in the Lone Star State or possibly Florida. The official entrusted with guarding Harris County's vast public coffers has found herself on the wrong side of the law, accused of dipping into a private one. That's right. Dr. Carla Wyatt, the county's pioneering treasurer and self-proclaimed role model, was arrested on December 27th after police say she was discovered lounging inside a stranger's minivan in a Washington Avenue parking lot with apparent designs on its contents. Now, court records paint a different picture of the incident outside a local lounge. So Wyatt allegedly opened the unlocked door of the car owned by an unsuspecting resident and settled in, refusing to budge when confronted. She reportedly assured officers she had permission to be there, but the vehicle's owner begged to differ, stating that they had never met and that the treasurer certainly had not issued an invitation for a joyride or rummage through the car. She's now been charged with misdemeanor burglary of a motor vehicle. Wyatt was booked and shortly bonded out quite swiftly and is scheduled for her inaugural court appearance on Friday, January 2nd. The irony is thicker than Houston humidity. The woman who oversees billions in county funds now faces scrutiny over intent to commit theft from a humble minivan. And this isn't Wyatt's first brush with the legal entanglements. In 2023, she was arrested for driving while intoxicated with a blood alcohol level reportedly double the legal limit. Bond conditions followed include an ignition interlock device. You got to blow to start the engine, which she allegedly delayed installing and later triggered with a prohibited reading. That case vanished after completing a pretrial diversion program, leaving observers to wonder if history has a habit of repeating itself in unsuspected vehicles. Now, she was elected back in 2022 to hold the position of the treasurer, and Wyatt once told local media that her goal was to serve as an inspiration to future generations. Her term ends in 2027, assuming she makes it that long, and gives her plenty of time to reflect or perhaps a new chapter in fiscal responsibility lessons. Neighbors have rallied in her defense, portraying Wyatt as a dedicated philanthropist and caregiver who recently tended to an elderly resident, and the treasurer's office has remained silent on the matter, which attempts to reach Wyatt at home. Apparently, she closed the door on people. As the Harris County commissioners prepare to discuss the arrest in January, residents are left pondering, when it comes to public trust, is it better to lock your doors or your expectations? Stay tuned. This may have more turns than a Houston freeway, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you today. New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. We'll see you next year. And remember, the Constitution matters.